Hunger is not an issue of charity, it is an issue of justice. Every week in Manchester, thousands of families rely on food banks to get through their day. What once was an emergency response has become a permanent part of life. Food banks exist because many people can't afford the basic cost of living. Rising prices, low wages and limited support has pushed families, students and workers into food insecurity. We are a country that prides itself on power and wealth, yet there are millions of children who go hungry every day. It is our responsibility, not only as a nation, but also as individuals, to get involved. We have the audacity to believe that people everywhere can have 3 meals a day for their bodies, education and culture for their minds, dignity, equality and freedom for their spirits. Small acts of kindness, like donating food, can create a world of difference. Food bank usage in Manchester continued to rise in 2025, with the local Trussell Trust food banks reporting a 22% increase in individuals seeking support in early 2025, and 31% of parcels were provided to children. Over 270 food providers are active in Greater Manchester as of late 2025, with poverty affecting nearly 44.7% of local children. Salford's food bank manager, Emma Rapley, said, "Sometimes people walk through those doors who you assume are bringing in a donation, rather than coming in for themselves, but you just don't know what people are going through. It can be people who've worked their whole lives, but maybe they've become a single parent or a carer, or they've become too ill to work and they're not receiving the right support." We were lucky enough to sit down and speak to Emma herself.
Okay, so hi, I'm Emma. I'm the food bank manager here at Salford Food Bank.
So, can you describe what this food bank does and what it serves?
Of course, yeah. So we are Salford Food Bank. We cover the whole of the Salford area, and we are an emergency charity offering food parcels to anybody that's facing any sort of crisis in food poverty. We offer them a 3-day food parcel, which covers breakfast, lunch and dinner, and we try and help them as much as we can with all sorts of other aspects of why they're in the crisis, if it's money problems, debt problems, housing issues. So we have advisors in our centres to be able to give people more than just a bag of food, to be able to give them a bit more help and support through the process.
What have you personally learnt from working at the food bank?
I've learned a lot of patience, I suppose, and a lot of empathy for the people that we're supporting, because we hear all sorts of stories, obviously, about the people that are coming to us. Yeah. We see all sorts of people, individuals, couples, families. I think the main thing I've learned is that anybody can hit some sort of crisis. Even if you're in a good job, you've got a lot of support around you. Anybody can suddenly need to stop working, whether it's to become a carer or if they become ill, and therefore anybody could suddenly need to use a food bank like this.
What would be your biggest advice to someone who's maybe scared to go forward with using a food bank?
I think I'd say how welcoming we make people feel. Like we're fully aware that it's a big step to suddenly come to a food bank. Nobody wants to use a food bank. It's not a nice step to have to take in life. But I would say that anybody that arrives in the centre for the first time is given a really warm welcome. We've got lovely teams of volunteers who are used to dealing with people and very much will invite people in, make them feel welcome. They'll be offered a cup of tea and a drink, and then they can sit down and relax, and then we'll talk them through the process of actually using the food bank, offering the food and any other extra service they might want to help with.
In December 2025, Salford Food Bank fed 1,957 people. Mm-hmm. How does this make you feel?
It's a scary number because it's a huge amount of people just for 1 month, but we're kind of, I suppose, aware that number is going to be big. We know that December is a really tough month for people, and budgeting and having enough money to get them through the month. So we knew that we were going to probably feed almost 2,000 people. It's more the fact that number has gone up dramatically in the last kind of 5 years or so. Yeah. So through coming out of COVID and the pandemic and through the cost of living crisis, our numbers have almost tripled in those 5 years, the amount of people that are falling into food poverty and needing a bit of extra support. So it's just us as a charity kind of coping with those numbers, having enough volunteers, having enough donations and having enough food to offer to people.
What would you say that your hope is or your plans are for the future to continue to help people?
Okay, so I suppose our long-term plan, all food banks under Trussell, the long-term plan is not to be here, because we want people to have enough money in the pockets to not need to use a food bank, is the very long-term goal, I guess. But in the short term, it's just to continue helping people as much as we can. Like I mentioned, not just giving people food, but giving them the extra advice and support to hopefully take those steps to come out of food poverty, whether it's just help with debts or with their budgeting or the benefit system, giving them that extra help and support. And also signposting we do a lot of as well, making sure that people are aware that there's a lot of other food charities and other charities in Salford and how they can get that extra support from other charities.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.
A week later, we returned to the food bank to give back as a thank you, to show that donating is feasible for most and can go a very long way.